We are live. Good morning, everyone. This is episode 173. Only we'll be going live. We'll actually be starting the real recording soon. Only bit of news is America goes off daylight saving this Sunday. So as of next week, if you're outside the US, the time will change a bit. For us in Australia, it'll be an hour later. Yeah, and ditto for the UK, of course, who already have gone off daylight saving. And also, next week, we are recording a day early. That will be on Tuesday afternoon, usual time, US, with the time zone daylight saving thing taken into account. So, day early, usual time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, which will be PST. Yeah, that's the reason for that is some of us are traveling to the Cantina, which will be the following Saturday, the 8th of November. I'll be flying out on the Friday morning back my time, so yeah. Anyway, aside from that, I will tweet the show. Anything else we want to cover before we go? Everyone got Audacity going?
I'm getting it going now. Seems to be doing fine. Wonderful.
Alright, Red, are you... Alright, tweeting now. Are you recording?
Not.
Make sure I'm recording the right
I
thing.
am now.
Okay. Alright. Testing, testing, testing. Yep, that's good. Alright, Chill, anything from you? Are you recording? You said you were.
I am recording and ready to go.
Alright. Someone put app info 4 up in the notes before the intro.
Oh, yeah. For those of you that are going to be traveling to Vegas, I learned about an app. It's if you go to myvegas.com, you can actually look it up. You can do it online, but you can also do it as an app on your phone, and it is literally like play blackjack for free, but you can accrue points and actually get rewards like upgraded rooms or shows or things like that. So, kind of last minute, but I don't know how much I could crush it out. I'm going to see if I can win something. Basically, you can earn an in-game credit to actually turn into real rewards. It's pretty legit, and apparently it's completely 100% legit. Like, friend of a friend knows someone who actually got to go to a show for free. So
I see. Well, it must
Wow.
be real then.
yeah.
We have anecdotes. No, I'm just kidding. Alright. You can report on what you managed to win when we're all together. Whoa.
Yes.
Something's... Alright. Let's roll. Jill, when you ready?
Okay, yep. Let me just, I'll go on 5. I'm paranoidly checking my Audacity yet again. Here we go. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that will bring balance to the Force. This is episode 173, being recorded on Wednesday, October 29th, 2014. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey, guys.
And with us today are Red and Charlie. So, Charlie, what you been up to?
Not a lot in actual Star Wars: The Old Republic. I've only been doing some Datacron hunting on my Sith Marauder. Is it just Sith Marauder or Sith Warrior? I usually say Sith Warrior, but anyway. I went to Hoth and I got all the Datacrons there, and the one I really, really, really hate the most is the one in the sort of warehouse. Is it the one in the Star of Coruscant?
Right, in the Star of Coruscant, yes.
Yeah,
it's a cunning one, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, who made the long ones where you have to wait for something to move? They're everywhere now. There's one in Tatooine, Nar Shaddaa, Hoth. What's the point in them? That's all I've really done in Star Wars: The Old Republic. But I did release a video on my channel because you guys actually suggested this to me a little while ago. That what I should do with the intros on my pack videos is take the intros and combine them based on the shipment. So I've obviously at the moment I've got
Nice.
the Starfighter intros from my pack opening videos into one video, and I've called the sort of series called Crandom. Weird name, just Kranatoko. It's just pretty much Kranatoko and random. It's
Right.
weird sort of thing. So I've combined all the Starfighter ones into one video, and you can watch that on my channel. The next one will be there's only 2 of the Nightlife intros, which I have, so that'll come out in another video, and then we've got the Stronghold ones once I've made the next pack video, which will hopefully be November-ish time, whenever they release the next Hypercrate. But
Yay.
we shall see. But the reason why I haven't been doing much of Star Wars: The Old Republic is because I went to Comic-Con this weekend.
Ooh. Which Comic-Con?
The London Comic-Con.
Nice.
I really do want to go to the San Diego one, but I can't afford it at all. And
How big is-
going to
Sorry.
America it's alright. Going to America on your own is
Right.
daunting.
Crazy expensive.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
expensive, and would you really want to go to a foreign country on your own? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, what were you saying
Married
before?
too long to say.
You asked a question before, Zao, as well.
So yeah, how big is the London one? I don't really know much about London Comic-Con.
I think about 115,000 people went throughout the 3 days, and there was it's in the Excel Convention Centre, which is sort of, I think it's near the Thames, I believe. It's a pretty big complex. I mean, the queue was huge, just
That's
amazing. Because when the actual convention opened, people were still queuing up, so they were going
Right.
in as people were queuing up. And obviously the people at the back of the line, I feel so sorry for them. They must, because the convention, let's say on the Friday, the convention started at 2:00. I think the people at the back of the line didn't get in until about 3, and of course the convention finished at 7, so they only had a few hours. But when I went to the convention on the Friday, I only went in regular clothes, and obviously I took a picture with a stormtrooper. I put a picture up, and I
Yeah,
don't know
that's a
is
cool
that a different kind of stormtrooper? Or was that just a stormtrooper who's just decided to put some things on, extra
It's a
features on?
standard Stormtrooper. I think there's a few, like when they went down to Tatooine, they looked like that. They had the
The
little
new
little
one,
shoulder guard
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it was kind of a weird conversation between me and him, because half of his conversations I didn't know what he was saying, because he had the voice modulator, and I just didn't know. I didn't really know what he was saying. So if that guy is listening, but he's probably not, I do apologize. I encountered a female who was playing as a Sith Zabrak, I believe.
Yeah, that's
And
an awesome picture.
That is amazing. I don't know how long that must have taken her, but that was amazing. She's literally gone to extreme lengths, painting her hands red, her face red, the other parts red. But yeah, she's really gone to great lengths with that. But on the Saturday, I cosplayed as the Slender Man. And with the picture, you might see as well, you can sort of still see the eye holes and the mouth as well. That really annoyed me as well, because I wanted to try and get my face as covered up as possible. So what I did, I
Right.
wore 2 sets of bandages over my head,
Oh
and
wow.
sort of cut like little eye holes. So because obviously, if I just wore the morph mask and the bandages, I would not see at all. So I had to
Right.
cut little eye holes as well, and then put the morph mask on, so I'm just seeing through the morph mask. But it didn't really cover my face fully, but I tried my best. There were moments when I was just
Yeah.
standing there.
I wonder if there's any way around that. Maybe mirrored glasses or something. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. There were times when I was just standing there, just watching people go by and being freaked out. There was literally a moment where I was by a wall and people were coming around the corner and they just saw me standing there, like, oh my god, what on earth is that? It was a ton of fun, but it really hurt with the bandages on my face, because they were obviously the 2 bandages on my face, they were compressing my nose, so my
Yeah.
nose was practically being squashed, and it hurt so much. But it was a ton of fun to do anyway. So. But I only went for 2 of the days though, because there wasn't really much to do at this Comic-Con.
Hmm.
Obviously, there's cosplay, and then there's a bunch of stores, and there's a few talks, but not really much. Obviously, Daniel Radcliffe was there on the Friday.
Oh, that's cool.
But I didn't get to meet him. I didn't go to his talk either. So,
What talks did you
but I
get
did
to go
spot
to?
him. I didn't go to any of them. I didn't. None of them
Oh.
really interested. Although I kind of did want to go to either the Under the Dome one or the Power Rangers one, but I just lost track. In the
So you're
end,
mostly
I didn't even know where I was going.
You're mostly like people watching and visiting the shops and so on?
Pretty much, I spent too much at London. Too much.
Well, what was cool that you got? What do you really like?
I bought myself the original manga of Pokemon. It's like a box set of the first 7 of the manga. So
Okay.
I decided to buy that
I'll
as well.
trust you
So
on that.
yeah, I've only just started reading it. I'm only halfway through the first book. It's not
Okay.
too bad. It's definitely different from the game and the anime for sure. I honestly thought that the anime was pretty much an adaptation of the manga, and the manga was obviously the manga is an adaptation of the game. It's really
Right.
weird how things have gone now with Pokemon. It's kind of bizarre.
Cool. Okay.
I also bought the Dragon Ball Z manga books as well. There's like 3 huge coloured ones as well. I don't know if they're manga. I don't think they're the actual manga books. I think they're sort of like an illustrated one. And I also bought a little Totoro plush as well. The Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro. It was very cute. And
Awesome.
yeah, that was my time at Comic-Con. It was all right. You know, the last day I couldn't be bothered to go, so I just stayed in my hotel room and just watched TV shows all day. So why not?
Why not?
It was a good room. It was a good room I was staying in. It was quite nice.
Excellent. Well, it still sounds like fun. Yeah.
Definitely want to go to San Diego one day. I'll get there.
Yeah, me too. Some point. All right, Red. How about your week?
I guess the most important thing is after I recorded on Wednesday, I don't even remember what I did on Thursday, but Friday I totally took the day off because what I'm most excited about was that I got to do the Extra Life 24-hour live stream on Saturday and made it all the way through 24 hours. I was really, really psyched. You know, I was grouped with Brian from Bad Feeling Podcast. We were a team. But yeah, we raised $400, which I was really quite proud of. We both had set, you know, neither one of us had done it before. Brian hadn't even, I don't think he'd ever even streamed before, but he was eager to participate. And we set our own goals as the lowest at 100 each just to see what ended up happening. So we doubled our team goal.
Very
exactly.
cool.
Yeah, so very, very, very cool. A lot of fun. During the stream, I did get my Guardian to level 55, and I got a Sage up to level 40, it was either 41 or 42 by the end of the night. In the middle of it, I did break it up and went and did hard mode Dread Palace. Only took down the first 3 bosses, I think. But it was actually just a lot of fun to be in there. It was actually a legit progression group in our guild, and you know, not borrowing from anybody and stomping through. We were actually working our way through, and I really enjoyed doing that. And the Guardian was actually on Jedi Covenant, so I'm ready if we ever end up doing any cross podcast operations or anything. I've got that
Right.
character prepped.
And
But-
Jedi Covenant, do the podcasters over there, you say do they do Republic, Empire, or both?
I know that AIE has it on both sides. I'm pretty sure the Bad Feeling Podcast guys are only on the pub side. That's their, you know, Freaky Friday pair.
On Young Ma.
Consider doing that, yeah.
Well, and then they've got their guild on Young Ma that they've launched as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I believe that some of the other guys have them on both sides as well. But I've only got the one character on the pub side, and I don't know that I have the incentive to make more until I've got 16 on Bastion done, and that's still 4 more to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, that's what I did on Thursday. I think it was Thursday. Thursday, I think I finished my Scoundrel and got her to 55 on Harbinger, and she's actually in
Hey.
Utini Nights. So
All right.
I also did a story mode ops. I gotta tell you though, man, this 12 times experience is discouraging me from doing anything else. I'd really like to do some GSF. You know, I did, because of that story mode ops, I had some friends say, hey, listen, get on the imp side, do story mode Terror from Beyond. We want to get it done, and also it's really good credits. So let's just farm it real fast. Man, we stomped through
Right.
that so stinking fast, and then they were like, come on, PvP with us, PvP with us. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stop doing the experience gains here. And we did 7 or 8 matches back-to-back. Didn't lose a single match.
Nice.
In fact, I was really psyched because my least favorite war zone of all, Ancient Hypergates, was the last match we had of the night. There was one explosion. The second
Wow.
explosion we won. We double capped for the first 2 rounds and got a perfect victory. Yeah. I've never done it before,
Nasty.
and it was great. I immediately, stopped my stream, made a highlight of it, like, perfect victory. It's a little bit boring because the first round I spent most of the time on defense at the node, but it was
Pretty
it was
impressive,
pretty cool.
though.
Actually,
I
it
think-
was so terrible that when the first explosion was happening, we were heading to the middle. Everybody's running to the middle, and I peeled off because I saw somebody had started towards our node. I went charging off to the side. Another guy came with me. We killed him on our way to the middle. Everybody coalesced in the center. Nobody from the opposing side was there. We'd killed every single one of them before getting to the center, and then just went
Wow.
charging back out.
Nasty.
So yeah, other than that, I mean, we'll totally be talking about it, I'm sure, but Rack, Ghoul, Ram, Page is what I've been doing the last 2 days.
All right. Sounds good. Tio, how about your week?
Let's start with the raiding. With our regular raid group on day 1, we cleared just the 4 or 5 in hard mode Dread Palace. Bill was out this week, so I was tanking once more on my Guardian, so we cleared all that easily enough. And I think we just had time to do Nightmare Nephra on day 2. This was basically our first look at the Dread Council,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, it was on hard mode. So we worked our way through that. We were making progress, but as I said, first time we've seen it, and without our optimal group, we
True.
had. It wasn't the best attempts we were making, so hopefully this week Bill is back, and well, we'll see how we go. Otherwise, let's see. I did level my sniper some, taking advantage of the 12 times XP, but I'm one of those who would prefer that I could switch this off, so I can do leveling the old-fashioned way. But I do want to see the agent story all the way through, which is one of the
Right.
ones I haven't done. That one, and I haven't finished off the Inquisitor, which I also should do at some point.
Enjoying it so far?
Yes, yeah. I don't think I've on my operative, which I did for PvP. I have got a little further on the story than where I have got now, so I haven't got up to the new stuff yet. So I don't know where it's
Okay.
going to go, but yeah, it's pretty.
Where does it get new for you, roughly?
I don't remember.
Sometime in Act 2, or?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Cool.
The McKeb Endurance Datacron, I decided to get it again just to prove that I could, that it wasn't a fluke the first time, so I just did on one character or another.
The joy.
Nice.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Once you've done it once, it's actually not so bad. It did take me 2 or 3 goes, but you know, that's how it works. that one's a tough one. Quick shout out to Wylock, who I encountered on the Harbinger, fan of the show. And Conquest. Let's just talk about that briefly. It hasn't really been a focus for me personally the last week. Been kind of busy in real life. But we had, as I mentioned last week, invaded CZ198, and the usual suspects did extremely well. It was only the 25k Conquest goal. So Bill, who I think he got the goal on the most characters. It was Carmen and Dread and Caligari and Cracker. But
Nice.
we didn't even get in the top 10. So
Ah.
it was a crafting week, and Guild must be buying up mats wholesale, whatever, in huge quantities. It's just ridiculous. And I guess we just don't care enough to burn the credits on that. So this week we're doing Republic's side Terrace. Not really many options. It is kind of combined with the Rackle Resurgence event, sort of, but there's no actual repeatables associated with that except for the one heroic that you can get conquest points for. So it's sort of linked, but yeah, most of it's just legacy-based achievements. And that's pretty much it. Sorry, that's pretty much it. Over to you, Chill.
All right. First, a shout out to the chat room. Colorado J is here. Jawkins is here. Kranatoko, of course, is here. Red, as well as Red. Rikiri is here. Big Dan, Beware 2, Dekion, Dread. I thought he. Okay. Eric Z is here. Eroven, Flux, Fionha, Nepthin, Nama, Protol, Rub, Scott Thomas, Slappy, Derek's, Jan's PT Red Eclipse, and I guess Mid Yef Njo. I don't know how I pronounce
It's an
that.
auto-generated name, I believe.
Could be, yeah. Some of those I get tricked though. I think they're random, but then someone tells me no, you just pronounce it this way, and it makes some sort of sense. So a lot of new names in the chat room today. So hi everyone. This week I mostly worked on getting a Scoundrel up to 55, and I've been streaming it at twitch.tv/chillswotor, and I'll be tweeting that out whenever I start. So if you follow me at Brandon L. Star, you'll get a little notice whenever I start doing that. I actually had a Scoundrel up to around level 30, but I just didn't like it. It was a Cathar, and I just wasn't feeling the Cathar, so I figured, well, 12 by experience, I'll go ahead and just start this from level 1. So Scoundrel's now up to mid-20s, and it's going to start Nar Shaddaa. And so that's going quite quickly. I've decided this time, instead of like trying to keep Treek up in gear throughout it, I'm just going to switch out, and whenever I get a new companion, I'm just going to use that companion until I get the next companion. So that way, because they always start off with sort of level appropriate gear, and this way also I'll have a little more a chance to try out different types of companion fighting styles, which will be good because I've been relying on Treek for far too long, I feel. All right, and while I was streaming, Jay was on, and he commented that the Vegas Shindig, we should call it the Utini Cantini. So I thought I'd mention that. So
Very creative.
Yes, I like it. And yeah, so like I said, up to Nar Shaddaa, starting Nar Shaddaa next, and mid-20s. So it's going pretty well. I didn't have too much time to spend on it, but what I did was pretty fun. So actually, digging the Scoundrel, I'm doing it damage style. So because I figure that way I've got the extra sneaking abilities from the talent tree. All right, that'll bring us to the tip of the week. We've got 3 of them this week, so Tia, why don't you go ahead and start off the first one?
The first tip is from Billy Endo, also known as Billy Rex, on the Shadowlands server. He says, a tip for achievement junkies: with the 12 times XP boost with class quests, you mainly use it to get to the max cap of level 55. But you can also go back and use your companions to get the kill achievements from the low-level planetary quests, as in 100 kills, 1,000 kills, etc. I love to get achievements, and I hope this will help others.
Okay. Not bad.
He also has another tip, a twofer. Tip to help out getting ready for the Revan expansion with what the game has for you to do before Forged Alliances came out. You can do the Revanite story on Droman Cass, the Nar Shaddaa quest for the part that helps you make Revan's ultimate army, and I believe there's some lore objects and stuff in there, like his journal or something. And Tatooine also has the Rakata technology, which is also part of the story. And finally, there is also the Call to Arms storyline and the Republican Empire story for saving and defeating Revan, though actually on the Republic side it is the Jedi Prisoner mission series. We talked all about that in the spoiler cast.
Yep.
He finishes, it has helped me and my character be more immersed into the storyline for the upcoming expansion and the Forged Alliances storyline, and I hope it will help you all too.
I must have missed the one on Nar Shaddaa. I'm not entirely sure which one that is.
It's that the Ultimate Army. It's that weird Rakata technology that starts off as like fingernail sized thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago, and it kind of grows more or less by itself on whatever you feed it over time, very slowly. It's that weird Rakata technology thing, and you end up like meeting these droids and talking to these people who have been like kind of stuck inside the walls of Nar Shaddaa. It was really bizarre.
Is that an
I don't know if I ever did that.
or Republic? I seem to remember it being Empire.
Oh,
I
goodness.
think it's Empire.
It might have been so long ago that I don't even remember it anymore. It's been 2 years since I did
I
Nar
remember
Shaddaa
it being
Massive
really
Warrior.
strange, but it was definitely the, almost living metal, and that's what it's all about it can repair itself and restore itself. So it was pretty strange.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to the second tip. Yajard of the Jedi Covenant, member of Pillars of Ashla. During my 12 by level experience, I decided to check out the Inheritance and Birthright gear. Inheritance for level range is 14 to 16, perfect for when you get off your starter planet. The gear can last up to level 20 fairly well, but after that, prototypes, meaning blues, can be improvements. For Birthright, the level range is 29 to 33. It will help you near the end of your Chapter 1 story. Birthright can last up to 40, but I would start looking for upgrades around level 37. Note that similar to Planetary Com gear, you can sell back Legacy, Inheritance, and Birthright gear within the 2-hour time limit if you want to get the full refund back, which are those kits, basically, that occasionally drop, and sometimes you even get them as class rewards. I've been like end-of-act rewards and stuff like that occasionally.
And our third and last tip is from Torama of the Old Republic Dads on the Shadowlands server. Another tip for all these new characters who are gearing towards 12 times class XP. Sorry, let me start that one again. Another tip for all these new characters and gearing during 12 times class XP. The Rakghoul event is a great occasion to grab some Bind on Legacy relics for your various leveling characters. Way better than nothing, often better than what else is available for your level, and no light side or dark side alignment requirements either. The antiviral kit MK1 Mark 1 is available to level 25 and up, MK2 at level 35, and MK3 45, level 45. They do require newcomer status with Thorn, which is actually kind of easy to get. You don't have to do too many of the dailies to get there.
Right, and that's legacy-wide, so once you have it, you have it.
Correct.
Do you need their special items to buy it, or is it just credits?
It's just credits once you've got the rep.
Okay, great. I'll have
They're
to
quite
swing by there, maybe.
I don't think they're exactly cheap, but they are Binder Legacy, so you can share them around.
Oh, good.
He finishes with, not to mention the event, the Rakghoul Resurgence, is a great place to farm up some legacy-bound weapons and adaptive armor as well.
Okay. That is nice. All right, so by random allotment, the winner is Terra Alma. So congratulations. You're a winner of an M8R3 pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and a new OotiniCast provided Cartel Market Pack from the latest shipment. If you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by in this case, it'll be Tuesday. Normally it's next Wednesday, but in this case, we are recording on next Tuesday. And there, again, that's for a chance to win the same. That'll bring us to the Holo feed. Teal?
Quite a few things to go through this week. It's all over the place. Firstly, on the Cartel Market, we have some, well, it's not officially Halloween, but there are frightening deals to be had, including a bunch of stuff, a few decos mainly, and some mini pets and regeneration items. The pumpkin-looking regeneration chamber, like the meditation chamber thing, is back. The treatment chamber is its official name, and a few other things. These are limited time and will be removed from the Cartel Market on November 4th. So you have until then to actually get that, and November 4th is Tuesday, so presumably with the server reset they'll disappear again.
Am I missing something with the Racklings as well? Because from the pictures in the actual Cartel Market, they glow gold. One of them's glowing gold, and the other one's glowing sort of like a whitish blue. Yet when you preview it, nothing happens. So am I missing something there?
Probably you're missing the preview window is probably broken.
Yeah,
okay.
preview window is generally bad, but it could just be artistic liberties as well.
Because otherwise they're the exact same Rackling, basically.
Right.
You could always buy one and check.
No, I don't have enough money.
I wouldn't waste my money on these ugly things anyway.
I did buy myself a statue of the Agonizer. That's a real creepy one. Don't know if I would want to put that down though. I only bought it just so I had it.
Yeah, the
Right.
statue of the Agonizer is really, really creepy. It appears in the two latest operations, and yeah, it's very effective and it's very disturbing.
Yep, and the Ghostly Magus armor set is also creepy as hell. If you look at the chest piece, it looks like you're sort of seeing the internal organs as kind of texture on the front, and the helmet looks like brains. It's
Yeah, they
I
actually
didn't buy
these
that one either.
skins do show up in a couple of the class stories. So
Right.
not to spoil where or when, but
hmm
they are at least pre-existing models.
We got confirmation from Beware 2 that they are glowing like that when you do summon them. So yeah, it is
Okay.
just the preview window that is broken. Thank you.
As always.
All right. Next, speaking of Rat Girls, we've already sort of alluded to it. The Rat Girl Resurgence event is back, and this time, for the first time, it is on Corellia. So, and this will continue just for a week. It will finish and with the server reset on November 4th, which is again Tuesday next week. Same time those items disappear from the cartel market. So you have until then to do another round of the dailies and the heroic daily that are available there. But yeah, Corellia this time.
Pro tip too for the world boss. It's in Axial Park, and it is literally right outside the Imperial landing speeder platform, which is diametrically as far away as possible from the Republic one. Also, if you die as a Republic there, the medical unit it takes you to is in the government district, so you can't even go back. So I would recommend, if you do have an imp tune, do that world boss there, because it's real easy.
We had a tweet from Michael Lombard. He said, I feel the pressure to keep leveling all my non-55s. Rackle event couldn't have come at a worse time.
All right.
Fair enough.
If you're on a PvE server, you can still get there, and the Rackle event is still scaled to, what is it, 25? So if you can get underneath, you can still do it and level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not going to get your class bonus, but you can at least be getting experience.
So presumably on a PvP server, you don't want to do that because you'll just get ganked.
Especially this afternoon, man. The Imperials actually showed up this afternoon, and I died like a dozen times in a row before I remembered that I could switch maps.
Perhaps you should be Imperial.
I'd already done it on my Imperials. It was pub time.
Fair enough.
All right,
Well,
so
this is Halloween, so that's clearly why they chose this week to do it.
Oh, totally appropriate. And I was glad they brought it back. I've actually enjoyed having it back this time. So.
What do you think they'll do next time? Do you think they'll just loop over to, where was it the first time? It was in
Well, we've had it
Alderaan.
on-
Do you think it'll just
we've
loop
had it
back
on
to Alderaan or
twice,
somewhere
right?
new?
Or no, I guess we haven't. It's been each planet once, right? We don't know of any other location, and in the achievements, like I got my achievement for having done it on each planet.
Yep.
And there aren't any other planets in that list, so presumably it'll do one of the other planets.
So maybe they'll just, it's either random or whatever. So I guess we'll
Fair
see. Dekian was asking, when's Life Day coming back? I assume it'll be around Christmas. That would make sense. Bounty Contract Week will be back next week, I believe. And I assume the Gree event, they'll probably drop that in before Shadow of Revan goes live on December 2nd. Why not? Just to give us something to do?
Well, if
Maybe.
you recall, they actually dropped it at the same time as the Life Day event last year, so they left it up for like almost a month. So they may do something along those lines.
Yeah, but they'll want to do it before the expansion, presumably. Yeah, anyway. Next we have an apparent, not exactly a promise, but they're certainly investigating raising the character limit per server above 22. Now, as you know, by default it's 12 character slots for subscribers. You can purchase up to 10 additional character slots using unlocks from the cartel market or sold on the GTN, obviously, and they may raise it above 22. So if you filled up everything with this 12 XP, you'll have some more slots to level characters once this goes live. So, yeah, they haven't said when, they haven't even promised it's going to happen. They're just checking performance implications.
Right.
They must be tinkering about with something, because if they can increase the NPC limit in Strongholds, they must be doing something. They must be improving the servers, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly, or...
Maybe. Let's not make any assumptions at this point. Next, confirmation, we're not getting dual spec. We already kind of knew that with 3.0. We know they're looking at it, but Not going to happen.
Right.
With 3.0 at least, but they are doing that random mount button. They've mentioned this at a cantina, so you click the button and you'll get some random mount from your collection. No details about how that's going to work.
That would be
I
fun.
prefer dual speak myself, but obviously that's a little more complicated.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Well, except that we know from the discipline system to respec is just clicking on 7 utility points, and then put your
Right.
spells in the right spot. It's gonna be so much faster now. At the same time, it
And I
would be
would
nice
love
to
it.
at least have the bars automatically switch and even have a gear changer tied into it.
Exactly. Yep.
That would be cool. I would, as for the random mount button, I would love it if at the same time they decide to just go ahead and make all mounts just whatever your current skill level is. That's how fast you go, so that there are no 90% mounts in the game.
What about the health regen button? Any news on that?
No.
No.
They
Okay.
had talked about taking all of those toys and making them abilities so they're not actually taking up room in your inventory, but again, no information. Next, we got a broken stronghold vendor deco, the Imperial Medical Droid, and it seems a Republic counterpart as well. Can't be used as a vendor right now, so they broke it somehow, probably in increasing the NPC character limit. Tate said they will be fixing this in a patch shortly, so maybe there's going to be a patch next Tuesday, but again, no confirmation of that. So anyway, if your medical droid no longer works, that's why. It is a bug.
Okay.
We had a bit of story from lead writer Charles Boyd. It's called Bedtime on Concordia. It's set on, and Concordia is one of the 2 moons orbiting Mandalore, the home of the Mandalorians, obviously. It's a nice bit of story. The whole point of it seems to be to introduce or reintroduce the character Shay Vizsla. Now, she is a bounty hunter that you will have seen in the Deceived cinematic trailer for SWOTOR. She was the one who sort of went in alone as a solo operator as part of the attack on the Jedi Temple, which was
Right. I was gonna say.
organized by
Helping
Darth
out
Malgus.
Yeah.
And
She has that really pretty shiny armor. That's really nice looking.
Exactly. So in the story, they mentioned that Shay Vizsla hasn't actually been seen since then, and she's apparently got a bit of a grudge against the Jedi because they killed her brother, and they're wondering. And what is said is, as far as I've heard, Shay Vizsla hasn't been seen in any battles for years. She's off the grid. Her and her whole clan. If anybody knows where they went, they aren't staying. And the rumor was that some folks say she's lost her edge over the years. She doesn't come back because she's afraid. But they reckon that she's just waiting for what? A real challenge. So anyway, that's the only reason for this particular piece of backstory I can think of. So maybe Shay Vizsla will be appearing in the future story. No hints that she's going to be in 3.0 yet, but who knows?
Call me stupid as well, but we're going back to the cinematic trailers. You know that smuggler that was driving the ship? Whatever happened to him? Did he ever appear anywhere?
Don't think so.
Okay, just a random smuggler then.
Yep. All right.
Is Shay Vizsla known anywhere else in lore? Because the name seems really familiar. Or am I just totally...
I had no memory of her, but
Okay.
I tend to skip over some of this stuff. Yeah, maybe not. All right. Next, commendations. Now, this one is something that's near and dear to most of our hearts. In Game Update 3.0, we had confirmation about what's going to happen. Now, as we anticipated, all your Elite and Ultimate comms are going to be down converted into, as it turns out, basic comms. Now, this is a surprise. They are getting rid of planetary comms and classic comms. They're all effectively being merged into basic comms. So there will be basic comms, there will be elite comms, there will be ultimate comms. That's it. They haven't mentioned how the conversion rate will work, as in how many ultimate comms, how many basic comms you'll get per ultimate comm or per elite comm, but as of once 3.0 goes live, on 2nd December, your Ultimate and Elite comms will be zeroed out and converted into basic comms. Now, what they do with your existing planetary and classic comms, whether they'll be converted as well or converted into credits or who knows, they will actually tell us eventually, but they're just working out the details. Now, curiously, this is, people were saying, some people seemed a little surprised that they would do this, but it is exactly what they did with Game Update.
I was going to say.
If you
Why would you
remember
be
back,
surprised anyway? It's like you should not be given the opportunity to get the best possible gear off of vendors before you've even started the expansion.
indeed, so that was effectively a given.
Simple.
But what they did with 2.0, just to, this was, a long time ago, around April 2013 is when it happened. This is when they introduced classic comms and planetary comms. Planetary comms, if you remember, before 2.0, each planet had its own type of commendation, and they basically just merged them all together.
I was so
God,
happy
those
with
are
that.
Yes, that was such an improvement. Oh my God.
And the classic comms, etc., the new setup replaced Kalumi, TNEs, Black Hole, and daily commendations. So there's a bit
Yeah,
of a
so it
blast
totally
from the
makes
past.
sense that they're going to remove those entirely.
Exactly. So
It was a mess in the early days,
yep,
but so much fun.
yeah, but
It's
much
still a
bigger
little
now.
messy now. I'm actually liking what this is going to be heading us towards. I guess the only real question is, do we think that basic comms will still be able to buy your entry-level story mode operation gear, or will basic comms really kind of be downgraded just slightly to be all of the planetary gear?
You would think the latter, because you need to get
That's
some
kinda what I
kind
was
of
thinking,
comms
too.
out of the hard modes. And at the moment, current hard modes, that's elites, but they all kind of got shifted at one point when they added in a new tier of gear partway through. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so that would make a lot of sense then. Get all your basic comms. So I guess normal mode and tacticals, they probably would be giving basic comms as well.
Yes.
And then the
And-
hard modes are going to get you the elite.
And just like planetary comms currently drop on planets at the moment, just you can loot them off mobs or whatever. Presumably, basic comms will drop in that way as well. So you'll be able to accumulate them from all over the place. All right, next. They had the quarterly EA earnings call. This was for Q2 2015, using the Bizarro, however they set that up, of what maps to what. Now, I always listen in. That was yesterday morning, just to see if they have a mention of Star Wars: The Old Republic, and it did get a quick mention. Extra content and free-to-play contributed $153 million for the quarter, which is up 20% over the prior year. This was mainly from sustained momentum in FIFA, Madden, Hockey, Ultimate Team, and so a bunch of sports crap. But they did actually mention that Star Wars: The Old Republic also contributed to the free-to-play segment. That's it.
Okay.
That's our one and only mention. So, yeah, I guess the fact they
At
even
least-
mentioned it is probably
Right.
positive.
Exactly, and it was mentioned in a positive light, so
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to be satisfied with that.
I want them to
EA
just tell us the
overall
facts.
EA overall did really, really well. So, they are, which is good, given that they own Bioware, etc., etc. So, it's good news. They did mention Star Wars Battlefront, the new game being developed by DICE for EA, is going to be released Q3 FY16, which I think is October to December 2015, last real quarter next year. So that's when they expect to drop Star Wars Battlefront, which will be their presumably first-person shooter. Who knows? Now, during the Q&A, there was one question of interest. Someone asked from one of the attendees, how many AAA franchises can we expect to see over the life of the Star Wars license, which EA has? In addition to the Battlefront shooter, are you working on any games in different genres? Any chance we could see an RPG, maybe a reboot of Knights of the Old Republic? Yeah, well, that seems a very strange question to ask, given the existence of SWTOR, but whatever. And so the CEO, Andrew, whatever his name is, said, "It's a great IP, a fantastic relationship, and we certainly have plans to do a number of different things as part of that relationship that are going to offer great ways to interact with that IP to our players. At this time, we've announced Battlefront. That is our focus, and nothing more to announce at this time."
There's the one that Visceral are making, isn't there, as well? The one who made Dead
What's-
Space. Apparently there was one circling around there that Visceral was making one as well. But I don't
They
know where
are-
that's gone lately.
Well, Disney... Well, the CFO went on to say Disney has the multi-year, I believe it is a 10-year license with EA to develop Star Wars games. It's supposed to be a broad effort to kind of bring back the Star Wars franchise. And he went on to say they're sort of targeting across social, mobile, tablets, online, consoles. You can imagine we're going to look for many ways to leverage the franchise and help that franchise grow over time. So remember, they are talking to people who invest money, so
Wait.
not exactly gamers.
Isn't this across social, mobile, tablets, online, and consoles is kind of absolutely contrary to what Oh, yeah. Okay, so Disney's saying this about EA?
No.
Because they previously said social, mobile, tablets, any of the mobile technologies were 100% going to be created by Disney for the Star Wars label. EA gets the PC and online.
No, this was a direct quote from the CFO.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So that's
so it's
actually
worth-
insane.
I think right. It sounds like EA actually has the option to do mobile stuff, but
Very cool.
from what I remember, at least Disney held on to the ability to do that themselves as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Colorado Jay's mentioning the 13-13 game. Who knows if they'll resurrect that? And that
Really
Is
want
that
I...
one
I know a lot of
The-
people would be happy to see it.
Didn't they say it was practically finished? Why just get rid of it now? There's no point. You might as well just finish it up. Whoever developed it, just take it on board, finish it up, and just release it. Because so many people wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
It
There's
did
no
sound
point in
pretty
just
cool.
getting rid of all that work just wasted. Really?
It wouldn't be the first time. This does happen to a lot of games. So if the
True.
assets are still there, they may be recycled. The game, when they say it's close to finished, yeah, I would take that with a huge grain of salt. So anyway, moving on.
Are you saying that EA or Disney and EA are as trustworthy as BioWare's community team?
Oh, going back to the when you said about reboot of Knights of the Old Republic, I think they might mean a HD remake because I would really like them to upscale Knights of the Old Republic, but it would take a lot of work.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Ah,
All right, moving on. Ranked PvP participation in Season 3. Now, I believe it was last week that I mentioned I would look at the numbers. So I just ran my usual analysis over the Season 3 participation numbers to date. I will note that as of about Sunday, a few days ago, it broke the updating of the leaderboard information, which I subsequently actually tweeted to Tate to let him know and posted on the forums. Anyway, so this data excludes the last few days. But, yeah, so I've got it for group and solo. The Season 3 started sort of mid-September. The data starts a week or so after that, just so I had the first 7 days accumulated.
Okay.
So, as you would expect, participation did sort of jump around mid-October when they announced the Season 3 rewards. That's the walk amount with the
Cool
red
flames.
speed stripes, flames, whatever. And I also have the comparison with Season 2's final numbers. Now, as you can see, participation is actually up in group. So, and sort of jumped. So at the moment, it looks like per week you're getting maybe 1,200 players doing ranked group. Worldwide, that's EU and US. Doesn't seem that many when you really think about it, but that is a bit more than we're doing it last year. Sorry, that is a bit more than we're doing it in Season 2, so it has actually increased.
Is that individuals doing group, or that's got to be individuals doing grouped content, right?
Correct. So if you want a number of groups,
so-
divide by 4-ish.
4-ish, but then you've also got to assume that they, probably cross over quite a bit with alts and whatnot.
Who knows? Yeah.
It doesn't
However,
surprise me much.
well, Solo ain't looking so good in comparison. Yeah, so participation sort of has been trending downwards, but it did get a nice bump with the announcement of the rewards.
Right.
But yeah, looking at the averages, it started off maybe 3,500 players doing it per week. It sort of the nadir just before they announced the rewards. It was about 1,500, and it has peaked again and trended upwards. So it's about 3,000 doing it per week. But if you look at last year, if you look at season 2, it started off really high and then really dropped down. And sort of where it was averaging for the latter half of season 2, it was around the, say, 3,000 mark.
Okay.
So I guess you could say that overall, on average, it's roughly the same for Solo, at least as of now.
I just love the irony in this graph, which was that clearly people were happy with the Season 1 rewards. They were playing a whole bunch at the beginning of Season 2, and then it declined, and then what you can see a bump, a very minuscule bump, when they announced the rewards, because the rewards were so terrible in Season 2.
At least I learned from that, and the Season 3 rewards are
Much
apparently...
better. And I would not be at all surprised that when they tell us, because we've still got over a month left in this season, as they give us images of what the additional rewards are going to be, I'd expect to see some more peaks. But it is quite remarkable that we're talking about dropping from 7,000 to 8,000 as a high in Season 2, and we haven't even gotten back up to 3,500 as the beginning of Season 3.
Right.
Yeah.
It's painful.
Yeah. Though, of course, you can't discount the effect of 12 times XP as well.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say, because, of course, Ranked is subscriber-only still at this point, and subscribers are getting that huge, juicy bonus. And, yeah, it's making it hard for me to do it. I mean, I'm mostly spending my time leveling, so...
I don't think I've even finished my 10 for the season, and it's directly because I keep thinking about that reward, and I keep thinking I want it, but the 12 XP is like, I can't stop. I need to at least get 16 on my primary server, and then I keep, it's like I got distracted. I did a 55 on Harbinger, I did a 55 on Jedi Covenant. I'm sure that somewhere along the line I'll think of another one that I need to do. They really should have thrown a bone to the PvPers or even GSFers for some kind of experience gain just to maintain activity in that environment. But I get it. I totally understand why they didn't, because you do need to experience the story. It is important and it is very good and it has so much more money in it, but painful.
The thing is, looking at the charts, because obviously when did the 12 times XP came around? About beginning of this month? And just looking at the charts, activity's gone up ever since 12 times XP. It's a bit weird.
That was the announcement of the Season 3 rewards.
Yeah, but still, you'd think the 12 times XP might drag them away still.
What's
more important, getting all these class stories finished or a couple more rewards?
But you see a spike from the reward, and then it's already declining again because everybody's going right back to their double XP.
Yeah, fair enough.
And probably that spike is a whole bunch of people finding out whether or not they have even a chance to get to probably 1,600 is what they're thinking, because that was what was put in the forums, and either not getting it or getting to it, and now they're going straight back to the 12 times XP.
Alright, just before we move on to the next story, from Dekion in our chat, he says GOG.com, that's goodoldgames.com, has just added the LucasArts games X-Wing and TIE Fighter, which many of us love, who are of a certain vintage or age. They have been updated for Windows 7 and Windows 8 and are now available on HD. So, yeah, I did have a quick look when this was announced, and they're not exactly cheap, but, well, depends how you feel about it. I think it's like $10 or a bit more than that, so it's not so bad. So if you want a real nostalgia injection, why not go to GOG.com and pick those up. Yeah. All right, and I think our last story in the news, we have a press event that was held for the Shadow of Revan expansion. Now, the press outlets that I found who actually did talk about it were 10 Ton Hammer, MMORPG.com, and Massively. And this was Larry Everett writing for Massively. In his article, he implied that he was talking on a one-on-one to BioWare, but from the content, it did seem like the same live stream the other two guys were talking about. So I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but regardless, on this live stream, this was some sort of press-only event, so obviously no one else has seen it. There was Deborah Shin, Senior Product Manager, Bruce McLean, the Senior Producer, who got drunk at the community cantina and spilled all the Get Off Tea of the Unnamed Commodore podcast. James Olin, Studio Creative Director, who's been on SWTOR pretty much all the way along and is very much a creative force behind it. And Charles Boyd, Lead Writer. So I sort of parsed through the various stories that were done about it. I'll link to them all if you want to read them yourself. A lot of obviously repeated information, but what we can glean from this is they are intending the Shadow of Revan expansion 3.0 will serve as the final chapter in Revan's story. So BioWare can close the book on him.
It's quite sad.
Yeah,
it's very sad in my eyes because Revan is iconic, and they're just gonna be like, okay, bye now, Revan. We don't need you anymore.
Well, no one lives forever, I guess, and I guess is pretty clearly saying that Revan will not be a recurring figure beyond 3.0. Is at least the implication. And this was James Olin talking. He says they were asking the SWTOR community what they were after, and he says, firstly, everyone loves immersive storytelling, especially class stories, and in addition to SWTOR itself, they also want KOTOR 3. And so that's effectively what they're getting. He was saying they have a roadmap for SWTOR that goes forward many, many years. Very ambitious.
Wow. And
those plans are pretty damn exciting. KOTOR fans will have something coming down the pipeline, and they're going to be surprised. And he, James Olin, can't wait to talk about it. And they did confirm there will be a 4.0 at least. So they've already thinking about exactly what's going to go in that.
Excellent.
And they have plenty of future stories to tell once Revans is done.
That's right.
We feel that there are a lot of other stories that can be told in the Knights of the Old Republic universe, and we wanted to set it up so that we can tell them in the future. So all of this sounds like they just want to sort of wrap up the KOTOR thing, be done with KOTOR 3, so we kill off Revan or redeem him or whatever.
Whatever we do with them, right?
And that will effectively free up the story team to move on and start telling some new stories.
Class stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Our plans for the future are more exciting and epic than you've seen before. SWTOR has been very successful, and that the BioWare crew have been very ambitious in what it's been planning. We're not slowing down, we're speeding up. And then Charles Boyd says, this really is a kicking off point. It's only going to get crazier and more exciting from here. Now, these quotes are drawn directly from those articles, so presumably this is what they did say on the live stream. A few other tidbits. Oh, sorry. Any comments on all that?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is these are devs, so they're probably a little bit more trustworthy, and legitimately, I've always been happy with their content and what they put out. It seems reasonable. I would also want to 100% plug our spoiler cast, which is labeled a spoiler cast, but it's really just a history lesson. You're not going to get seriously spoiled on very much at all, and I would really recommend anybody to listen to it because I've gotten a lot of feedback, and I'm sure you have too, Tio, that it is the rubric for going into this expansion and should probably alleviate a lot of stress. We also do discuss the fact that even if we're finishing Revan's story, there's so much more that is still undone. That it's not like we're closing Star Wars: The Old Republic. I understand that they have so many more stories to tell. That seems abundantly clear because we know of how much is still just unaddressed.
I might have to definitely listen to the spoiler cast because I was worried because at some point I want to read like the Revan novels, even get around to KOTOR 2 because I never have got around to KOTOR 2, and I was worried that so much would be spoiled. So I guess I might have to take a listen then.
Well, maybe we do spoil the hell out of Revan, the novel. So
read the book.
I don't really know what to do then.
I think
reasonably
Red's
short, so yeah, but once
right.
you've read Revan, spoiler cast.
Right. Red was saying, I believe we don't spoil like too much in SWOTOR itself, but we
Correct.
do spoil the
Right.
crap out of Revan the novel.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'll definitely have to read
There,
that.
there
for
are
sure.
definitely some serious story arcs within the novel that get left untouched, but I mean, we're talking end of the book spoilers
Yeah.
definitely happen.
I was surprised when I read that, so I would want people to experience that properly. If you like surprises,
Especially, well, if you play this game, the book is amazing to read. I know that it has tons and tons of bad reviews, but that's from people that read it because they read it like any other Star Wars book. If you play this game, you must read the novel. It is just written for
Yeah.
this game. It's a good story when you know where it is leading.
all right. Let's just cover the rest of the press event. Rishi, which is one of the two planets, the other being Yavin 4, that's going to be added with 3.0, is Rishi is the hideout for the Revanites. That's where we're going there. We also know it's a pirate haven. All of the Forge Alliance's flashpoints will be soloable. We've heard that before. And so will the 2 new tactical flashpoints that they are going to add will also be soloable. They'll be tuned to all classes and specs, and you will get a droid to assist you. Now, I don't actually know whether you really do get some sort of extra droid, or they're just talking about your companion, and the people writing the article misconstrued. I assume not. Maybe it is some other helper that you get instead of your companion. Don't know.
Maybe.
The class stories in Shadow of Revan were written by Alexander Freed. Now, he wrote the Agent story, acclaimed to be one of the best in the game, and he also did the Imperial side of the McKeb story, the Empire side of McKeb.
And that was pretty clever too. Yeah.
So just reminding everyone, in the Shadow of Revan expansion, there will be class stories at one point. Maybe it is a single mission series where the main story will branch off, everyone will go off and do their class-specific stories, and then we'll come back together on both the Republic and Empire side.
As glad as I am about having class stories, I worry that it's just going to be a 5-minute thing rather than maybe a half an hour story. I really hope that they do bring it out as much as they can. Obviously not to milk it as much, but I don't want it to just be a 5-minute thing.
They do say that the class stories that appear in Shadow of Revan will define who you are, your character is, in the galaxy since the last time your story left off. So yeah, that doesn't really tell us anything about how long it is, but...
Right.
At least we're getting something.
And it actually, the class stories kind of end at different times, some of them, so it's not like they all end right at the same time.
Yeah. Though once we hit McKeb, they had all basically
they all merged up. Yeah. Meet up at that point.
So
all right.
I'm just a bit confused because, I mean, we do understand. Okay, first of all, I feel like at our current point, before 3.0 comes out, it has to be at least 20 years later. And I know we covered this in the spoiler cast that we're supposed to be happening 12 to 15 years right now. But that makes Theron Shan 15 years old. He's clearly not 15 in the game right now.
Looks like he's in his mid-20s or something.
Right. So if you just say he's aged poorly, let's say he's 20. But otherwise, you've got a whole bunch of people flirting with a 15-year-old boy, and that's disturbing.
Wonderful.
Now, when was he born? It was before the Treaty of Coruscant, so...
It was either just before or at the same time as the Treaty of Coruscant, because it was after the Battle of Alderaan.
Yeah.
That's going to be a bit weird because our characters don't age, and obviously if it's so many years later, it's going to be weird to see our characters kind of the same.
That's what the cosmetic engine is for, so that you can add some wrinkles.
Obviously, you have to pay for it. He was born in 3666 BBY. Yeah, this is... Well, yeah, I don't know.
Right? So, I mean, that's why I really do think that from the beginning of the game, from where we're playing from, I really do think that we've had a number of years pass. And it totally makes sense. Like, I feel like our storyline should have lasted at least a couple years, honestly. And then the gap between when our chapter ended and McKeb actually happened, you could put several years in there without it meaning anything.
Well, they're saying the Korriban incursion, which was the events in that first tactical in Forge Alliances, happened in 3640 BBY. So if he was born in 3670...
So he's 30?
That's 30 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he's 30.
Okay, good. So we're 30 years out. Okay, good. That's so much better. So there has been a gap since the...
when was the Treaty of Coruscant? Someone?
I don't remember the exact number.
Yeah, all
I
right.
do actually
This is
remember,
a rabbit
though,
hole. We should get
I
out
do
of it.
remember during the McKeb storyline that a couple of the class, openers, they really do mention a pretty good long multi-year, period of time passing
Treaty
between.
of
It doesn't feel like it though. That's the
53.
problem.
53.
Right. Well, when it gets truncated down to, a few seconds of the opening McKeb, class, mission that gets you kicked off, it doesn't feel like much, but there were definitely a couple of them where they kind of specify that, ever since, a few years ago when you did blah, 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 blah.
All right. So if the Treaty of Coruscant was 3653 BBY, that's and the events of Korriban
That's
incursion.
17 years.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So at least 5-ish years have passed.
Okay, so really what we're learning is that the time between the events of each of the big cinematic trailers we had going into this game was actually a bit larger.
Yes. Anyway, so all that's good. Right. Let's just finish off what happened with the press event. They confirmed the SWTOR's licensing is indeed covered by the EA Disney 10-year licensing deal, as you would expect. No surprise there.
Sense?
So it's not like the license is about to run out. They've got many years left to run. They dropped hints of other places that we're going to visit beyond Rishi and Yavin 4. Remember, Revan is only part of the 3.0 story. With game updates 3.1, 3.2, and whatever, there may be other planets added, or other planets, even if it's just for flashpoints added. So, yeah.
That's quite interesting because obviously they're adding the 2 operations with 3.0 as well, and I think, as far as I'm aware, the last operation is where you actually face Revan himself. So
Exactly.
if that's the case, possibly he's not going to die yet, and that we may encounter him again. Possibly, if that's the case.
Earlier, that's not the case. They will actually kill him off in 3.0, but who knows what happens beyond that. It doesn't have to be Revan.
Perhaps the Revanites carry on the legacy.
Or
anything that's army, or there's all sorts of stuff that we know of, even existing in this game.
Right.
And let's be honest, they did an incredible story arc with the Dread Masters leading all the way through, and that was just from an obscure quest from Belsavas, from a single faction's quest, There is a lot of stuff existing in this game outside of what we already know about, and I already fully expect 4.0 or 5.0 or 6.0 can be where I really want it to ultimately go, and I'm not going to spoil that.
All right, a couple of other things. The Shroud from the macro binocular / Seeker Droid stuff is not directly involved with 3.0, but he is watching, as we saw from that bit of lore that was published a few weeks ago. While there are common threats, factional conflict is ongoing, and they did confirm that Togruta is the next playable species. So this is the first time we've actually had official confirmation beyond Brisbane Plains drunken ramblings. Yes.
I kind of want them to give like the Togruta and like the Cathar some sort of legacy perk, because where every time you complete a character to level 50, is it 50 or 55? On each race, you get a sort of perk, don't you? I want them to do that with the Cathar and the Togruta now, because you're just buying it for just the race and nothing else.
Yeah, well,
to make it worthwhile.
It's unlocked account wide, but now you just buy it and it's already unlocked account wide. So.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. Class-wise, you get the extra abilities you can use during Heroic Moment. The only bonus I remember for species-wise is if you get a human, then you get plus 100 presence.
I swear there's something for everything else as well, wasn't there?
No, the other ones don't. The only thing that they do is they've got their own unique
right, like the Sith slap
regens or cosmetic things and stuff like that.
Cosmetic crap, basically.
Yeah, like the human one is actually awesome, which thank goodness just play humans more than anything else. So.
Yes. They confirmed that Togruta will be sold on the cartel market, just like the Cathar. So it's not, and it won't be part of the Shadow of Revan. So it will not be available with 3.0. They're going to add it sometime later.
Right. Presumably it'll just come on basically when it's ready.
Yep. Also, a bit more information from Werrit. This is Werrit of Werrit's blog. He had a few questions answered by BioWare. I'll link to his blog so you can see the full list, but the ones I just wanted to draw attention to, the name of the shipment of cartel packs coming with the Shadow of Revan will be the Shadow Packs.
Okay.
I wonder who's going to be doing a video on those.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It was
Can't wait.
asked, where it asked, are Seeker and macro binocular missions making a comeback in Shadow of Revan? And even though they're using some Seeker Droid and macro binocular gameplay mechanics in a few places where appropriate, it's nothing like the extent that it was when they added them, the whole mission series in Rise of the Hutt Cartel.
I'm
So
glad
that's all.
and disappointed because they added a huge feature in 2.0 and now they're kind of just jumping over it now and not even hardly using it. Obviously they're using it to a degree,
Right.
but
right. Like
what
you
was
see
the point?
bits of it
In the end, what was the
Record.
point?
Yeah.
This is still just with the launch of the expansion, though, right? There's plenty of opportunity.
Hopefully there'll be more in the future, yeah.
Because I would like to see them build a story arc that continues to expand the Shroud's story within the game. I mean, I know they use him to do lore posts, on, blog posts, but
Oh, I can guarantee you we haven't seen the last of him. I can guarantee you that. As in, like, mission-wise.
All right, the last question was, is there a change coming with 3.0 that you are especially excited about which isn't in the feature list? And the response was, a real change with 3.0 comes in the form of how we are treating story in our game. We are truly excited about what we did with the story in Shadow of Revan, as it will be a jumping-off point for the compelling content we plan on creating in the future, echoing back to what was revealed in the press event. So yeah.
Cool.
Makes you wonder what's so special, because they keep pressing on that.
Yeah,
They keep saying how good their story is going to be. What is so exciting?
Indeed. Patience.
is how we are treating story in our game. I mean, you don't think they're just talking about the individual class quests they already told us about, do you?
They are implying something more.
Perhaps they're actually starting to make your choices matter. Because I know in other class stories, your choices did matter to a degree, but not hugely. That was, oh, you didn't kill this person, oh, he's going to come back later on, and so forth, things like that. So maybe they're actually properly knuckling down on things like that.
No.
I guess
Yeah,
the one easy thing that it could be is that they actually go forward with telling the story. We know that it's going to Revan. We know that it's going to have a final fight. Maybe they're going to do something where the story for the patch actually leads all the way through, and just like Oricon, leads you into those operations, and you finish the stories through the operations, and then in that storytelling, it really does a good job of setting up what comes next, so that we aren't all sitting there wondering, well, is this storytelling done?
Well, there could also be the soloable tacticals, and they can now use tacticals as a way of
Storytelling.
telling the story. And the fact that it's soloable, I guess we should emphasize that is fantastic news for people who just like the lone wolf who plays solo.
But then
Like
it's
our
not
friend
really a
Griffin,
flashpoint
Who
anymore.
play this game because they don't want to play an MMO.
That's true.
You may
there's a
scoff,
lot of-
but many people do choose to play the game that way. And given they pay a subscription
know.
just like everyone else, why the hell not? As strange as it may seem,
Well,
there's nothing
you're
wrong with
making the assumption that they're paying a subscription. There is no assumption that validates that.
well,
You can play this
they're
game
as likely
entirely
as not.
free for all of the story components. If you can solo everything, there's no cause to ever pay a subscription.
Besides all of the penalties you get for actually not subscribing, I don't know, it's far nicer an experience, even if you're soloing.
Well,
To
that's
actually,
totally true. Although the penalties to experience actually help compel you to explore the full extent of the story, including the bonus missions for the planets and the side missions and everything else, so that actually playing solo,
Right.
you might not even want like you were saying, you don't want the 12 times XP. You'd like to turn it off.
Right.
If you're soloing, you could actually fully enjoy this game in its fullest expression, almost
That might
easier than a sub.
that might actually get me to do an area quest.
Yeah,
I think I've
but
done one.
everything
And
costs
my
25% more,
entire
etc., etc. So
gaming, yeah.
we've
Yeah.
got no information to really suggest either way.
Well, the interesting thing for me about this answer is just, I mean, BioWare has long been known for, being very focused on story in their games. So the fact that they're making some sort of change in how they're treating story in the game and that they're excited about it, I have no idea what it is, but it definitely excites me, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye on the story when it comes, when 3.0 comes. That's
Yeah.
a cool idea.
Actually, that's a good point. The fact that they're really returning to a focus on story and they're excited to show us something about story. What does BioWare do better than virtually anybody else right now in the market? They tell a good
That's what
story.
they're known. It's what they're known for. Yeah.
As long as
Yeah.
it doesn't affect the gameplay too much. Because people all usually complain, oh, if you're doing story more than gameplay, oh, you're going to mess up the game.
All right, let's move on. Beating this one to death. All right, in our community news from our guild, our old friend Ham Sandwich is back, and he is resurrecting the Utini Templars, who most of the members have sort of moved over to the Empire side, and so while they're sort of making Utini Rage certainly more populated, it means the Utini Templars on the Knights side is kind of free, and so Ham is going to is asking for people whether they like to join him. So times, etc., will be available on our forums. I'm
a little confused based on what I'm reading here. Are you saying that the new raid will be on the Empire side? Or are you
No.
saying that it freed up time and they're actually doing it on the Republic side?
Oh, yeah, a lot of people went to the imp side, but Ham wants to play pub and wants to revitalize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this going to be reasonable times for me as an East Coaster? Just curious, because I would probably jump in.
Very likely, yes.
Okay.
So it'll be in US, something friendly to the US time zones.
Cool.
On the Republic side, Utini Knights. A listener, Augustus, also known as Matt Brady in real life, he said he loved the podcast, will upload new creations each time an episode is released. And he started off with some fan wallpapers as a whole selection, which I'll link to. They're kind of cute, the whole Jawa theme. And then for our spoiler cast, he did a short comic for that, which I'll also link to.
Wow.
Very nice comic.
Very cool,
Yeah.
very cool.
So nice work, Matt. Thank you. And yep, we'll feature that stuff if he does do one for each episode. And finally, in community news, let's talk about the Utini Cantina. As you know, the official cantina is going to be on Saturday the 15th of November, but most of us had made our travel plans to be there on the previous weekend, so we decided to do our own Utini Cantina.
Can I
Which
rapidly interject? That comic is hilarious, dude. That's actually hilarious. It was the same exact thought I had. It is very good. Sorry.
The
Mask looks nice in
cantina
different
will
colours,
be
though.
held in the Trump International Hotel, which is somewhere north of the Strip. It will be on November 8th, Saturday, November 8th, and we're thinking that we'll open the doors at 2 p.m. and we'll start our live recording at about 3 p.m. And the event itself will continue through to 6 p.m. We will provide some degree of catering, but don't get too excited. We are getting some swag from BioWare to give away. We're just making the final arrangements of that. So we'll do some sort of Q&A and, well, we'll see what happens. We will attempt to stream it, though that will depend on having the available bandwidth. So if we can tether it off a phone or use the Wi-Fi provided by the hotel, we will do so. So, and we had some comments from some people about it, from Spiky Joe, who's the guildmaster of the Temple Watch Guild. Sorry to hear about the scheduling problems involving the community cantina in Vegas. The idea of going ahead and putting on your own at the original planned date is awesome. As an avid SWOTOR and GM, I applaud your initiative. We'll even try for the first time to catch some of the stream live, even though it might be the middle of the night. Yeah, so, we should mention that there's been some suggestion of doing the show inebriated. Somehow I don't think that will really work out. One of the reasons we're doing it sort of mid-afternoon. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. And
Well, we don't have to do it inebriated. We might have drinks in hand.
Just remember to keep the cameras rolling if you get drunk.
Would we have cameras? We'll have a microphone.
If you have a camera, that is.
we will have a webcam, yes.
We will. Okay, awesome.
And
actually, personally,
so
are we gonna
gonna listen to the uncut version of this one. Sure, it's gonna kick ass. Yeah, I'll bet. I'm not even sure how much editing I will do.
For those that come, is there opportunity for the live viewers to also get to have a cameo or speak on the show?
Yes, yes, it will.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
There's going to be a Q&A part, so definitely.
So what I've roughly got in mind
Nothing else.
is that the three of us will be sitting around a table recording. Red is going to bring his omnidirectional mic, and then during the Q&A part, we'll ask people to step up and come and talk in our circle around the mic, so you can actually be heard. And so it'll work like that, and presumably it'll be caught on camera. So yeah, we'll work out the details when we get there, but Jesus, close. Yeah, so I guess a couple of Saturdays away. All right, and
Yeah, actually, exactly 2.
That's right.
indeed.
In fact, we
And-
record next Tuesday for our next show before the live stream, so we're going to actually have 2 shows in a row, correct? Within
a
1 week?
Yes, there'll be a show on the Tuesday and a show on the Saturday.
Do you know what's even more daunting? Christmas in less than 2 months.
And that's the news.
All right. That'll bring us to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. And chat room, if you have any questions to ask, Red will be gathering them now to ask once we're done with the feedback. So, regarding the spoiler cast, we had quite a bit of items coming in from that. Marcus Goultong wrote, loving the episode, discussing the Force, Star Wars Revan, and SWOTOR, I'm in nerd heaven. Very nice. And Mark_SWOTOR tweeted in, yay, OotiniCast spoiler cast. Great stuff, guys. Very fun listen. And Sith Lord Corv of the Beyond the Stars podcast, excellent job on the spoiler cast episode 172 of OotiniCast. Great cohesion of story. And Julian wrote back, that was a great podcast. It felt like an audiobook. I loved it.
And we should thank the Beyond the Stars podcast. They did a really good shout out to us this week on their episode 2 that came out today.
Thank you, guys.
Right. And in fact, Sith Lord Corv and I had a little mini discussion on Twitter about neutral Jedi and so on, or neutral Force users, and especially the Voss, which and he does rightly point out that the Voss are an example of sort of a neutral Force user, but and I sort of agree, but I also say that when you look at the examples like the Voss of neutral Force users, they tend to be extremely limited, and they have to be very careful, it seems like, in order to avoid going one side or the other. It seems to be a rather fine edge that organics have to tiptoe in order to use the Force and not be on the light or the dark side.
It's ironic because it almost sounds like it forces, but the very use of the Force
Forces you to one side or
itself
the other.
forces. I don't mean to pun that, but yeah, it forces you to choose to either separate yourself in a way from your own humanity or go sociopathic. And it's just a weird dichotomy that it almost does compel you to do. Whereas the average Joe doesn't have to worry about that. You can actually, make a mistake and get over it.
Right. All right. And Greg Carter wrote, "Hey guys, let's see. I see. Okay. Greg Carter wrote, "Hey guys, I'm almost through listening to the spoiler cast, and it is effing amazing. Sorry, Tio, you're gonna have to use the blaster sound." Of course, I'm capable of also censoring because I need to use profanity to express how good the podcast really is. Hearing the culmination of numerous cutscenes that I've either half understood or spacebarred through was awesome for me. Not to mention hearing the history and the source of a lot of names that I've heard in the game. Markaragnos, Nagasadao, and so on. Fantastic stuff, guys. Can't compliment you enough. Thanks, Greg. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. And I actually learned a lot as well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I had half remembered or had totally misremembered, and it was great to sort of get stuff like that sort of settled out.
It was a lot of work to actually research all that, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, really you did an awesome job. Rendrin wrote in, first of all, great job everyone, and thank you. I feel the need to mention one character when I didn't hear his name pop up in your discussion of neutral force users, Jolie Bindo, the lovable grump. This led me on a page to Wikipedia about neutral force users, among which Voss Mystics are mentioned. I never really thought about it before, but I'd say it's accurate enough. And then there's a link to Wikipedia.
Jolie Bindo is one of your companions in KOTOR, the original KOTOR. I think you get him towards the end. He around Kashyyyk. Does help you there, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I barely remember that name. I don't remember much about Jolie. I might have to look up that Wikipedia page.
Her voice actress is the same person which I was asking about a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
Was it?
He was what's her face in the Clone Wars. It sounds familiar. Think about it. It sounds familiar.
Ventress. You mean Ventress?
I think that's it. Yeah.
The one that
the voice now sounds familiar. Thinking about it.
Yeah. If it is, that's awesome because I love her voice. Ventress has a cool voice, and she's also Lady of Pain in the Bounty Hunter story on Tatooine. Right. And Nick wrote in, great Revan episode. I think the only reason he's attacking us both was to make the Forged Alliance storyline, since it's not militarily smart to divide your forces against two well-armed opponents. Hashtag Germany World War II.
Learned from future events, since this happened in a galaxy far, far away.
Indeed.
All right, Cody Dog wrote, mentioned the stealth res topic from your show to my guild regarding rolling hot heels, and it's led to some heated conversations. Yikes. I wonder why it's heated. Is it controversial that the hots are interrupting the...
No, they didn't realize. It's probably the only real reason.
Maybe,
oh, they were probably ecstatic to realize, okay, so I just need to remove my heels. Or it could be heated conversations because I vanished, Rez. I told you all to right-click your hots off. You didn't right-click your hots off. Now I can't frickin' battle, Rez. It's all your fault.
Right. If you're expecting everyone to right-click, unfortunately, that's really tricky, especially since, like, you try to right-click a buff off, and if one of the other buffs times out at the same time, everything moves over. It's really annoying. Really
you can
annoying.
end up removing some much more important.
Yeah, you end up removing something you didn't want to remove. Oh, great! There goes my combat stance.
Yeah, exactly. Which I don't have in my bar because I've always left it up.
It's always on. Yeah. All right. Mikhail Lombard writes, almost done with my 6th 55 character. Grats. I am loving 12 times experience. I don't think I'll get to max out another set of 8, though, at this pace. Yeah, it's a lot. I think I'm a little nuts myself. I'm trying to get there. Sorry, Charlie, what were you saying?
Still got a good month. Still plenty of time to do what you can.
And also for the money-conscious, ask Bill to share his crafting setup amongst his 16 characters.
Let's get him to answer that when we're in Vegas.
That sounds good. All right. Turg writes in, it's the Rat Ghoul event gear. Dark muted green in the preview window, so I'm not sure if it's supposed to be glowing. The boots look like gree boots, which glow, but not the greenish color shown. So perhaps combining the two causes a green glow bug? I don't know. Very slight glow. Definitely more than the preview window, but a lot less than the other ones I've seen.
I can't explain it to you. It's just weird.
Yeah, I
It's
think the
kinda
preview
cool.
window has a weird sort of lighting, I think, when they try and show your character.
Yeah, there's
I
a
agree
bluish
too.
tint. There's always a
Yeah.
bluish tint to
The lighting.
to lighting. The other thing is, this is not meant to be critical, but it doesn't look like the settings are all turned up, and so there could be a difference there as well.
Interesting. Yeah.
Maybe.
Because the graphic settings are a bit flat there compared to at least what I'm accustomed to playing with this computer.
Surely it renders the same in the
Running on.
window and in the main game.
If the lighting's different, maybe not.
Right, and I agree that, well, there's obviously a lot of lighting variance inside the game, so that's part of it too.
Yeah,
but
it always
the preview
depends.
window, the preview window is kind of odd. I mean, it is a very bluish, cool colored light that they use in the preview window, and it does affect how it looks in there. So
You know, I never
light-
thought about this, but it would be compelling to see somebody do a comparison with a screenshot compared to the preview window on Ilum, because it does have that dark and blue color diffused around everywhere.
The lighting is really weird in the game. I find that my blue chiss is often purple in places like Nar Shaddaa and is it Hutter? Yeah, it definitely looks purple in Hutter as well. It's very bizarre.
okay, all right. Turg also wrote in something may be wrong with the 12 times experience. The mission log will say 123,000. And the chat window says 123,000, but then the fly text says 58,000. I took a screenshot before and after this time, and it's just the fly text that's wrong. So thank the maker.
So yeah, when you see the number fly up, that's actually apparently incorrect, but you are getting the correct amount of XP.
That's interesting because in my head I would have assumed that whatever the fly text says would have been, written from the number that goes down to your experience bar. Therefore, it would always be correct.
You'd think so,
But
wouldn't you?
apparently, no. It comes in earlier at some stage and can be wrong. So
Yep.
there you go. Turg also writes, how is the GTN commission calculated? Is it higher for longer posts, like deposits? I'm not sure what that means. Is it, in other words, the longer you post it, is it higher?
The deposit
Bill-
goes up if you
Yeah,
deposit.
that makes
What's the
sense.
point of the deposit then if it just takes away 6%?
It's if
The
you
deposit
cancel
is
it.
if you cancel
It takes-
early, yeah.
It's so you don't cancel
Oh,
early.
okay.
It's a
And
punishment.
it's a higher deposit, which detracts you from throwing it up there, and you're like, oh crap, I want to pull it down, but I stuck it up for 2 days instead of one, and oh, now I have to pay more for it. Those deposits are so trivial anyway that it's kind of a joke, but
It's alright if it's a cartel market item because usually they just go for 1 credit anyway, no matter what time frame you choose, especially with
Right.
armor sets from the cartel market. But of course, there's that 36-hour waiting before you can even sell it.
Yeah, and the deposit actually is refunded if it sells. It has nothing to do with the actual commission that the GTN gets. So,
right.
Did you read that, Bill's answer?
Although Bill says the total, so is it the
he's
deposit plus what you post it for contributes towards the 6%? Sorry,
So-
go ahead and read it, Chill.
Yeah, Bill replies that the commission is a flat 6% no matter what time frame you choose, and then the deposit that you paid counts toward the 6%. So there you go.
Right, so does that mean what you post it for plus the deposit goes towards the 6%? Is that what he's saying?
What do you mean?
Because
I suppose they factor out the deposit and then just do the 6%.
Correct.
right, okay, because he says
Right.
it just seems contradictory. He says it is a flat 6% no matter what time frame you choose, but then he says deposit counts towards the 6%.
You
So
can think
then
of
the
it
time
in
frame you
terms
choose
of
does
your
change
deposit
that.
is actually returned to you, and then they take 6% if you really want to think of it like that. So that's all it means.
Okay, so it doesn't actually increase
It's a
the
flat
6%.
6%.
Or they
Based
do the
off the
6%
gross
and then they deduct the deposit.
Okay.
Move on! For bright kills.
Turg writes in, can someone please explain the companion legacy stat boosts? Is it 1%, and do they affect all characters, or all characters of that base class?
So, we all have 5 archetypes for our different types of companions, which is
That one.
healer, the range DPS, the melee DPS, the range tank, the melee tank. When you level each, once you actually complete the class story on one of those archetypes, you will get the bonus, and it is different for each one. Like one of them's a crit bonus, one of them's an endurance bonus, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
And you only have to do it on one archetype anywhere in your legacy. It can be either side. That's unlocked for all your characters. Got nothing to do with what you do with your any given character's companions. There were some bugs with it, and it was kind of mucked up. So I don't know where it is.
Still is. Now. It's still doubled right now. The only thing that stacks is that every single companion you max affection and have all the conversations with gives you 10 presence. That presence stacks across all of your characters, but none of these other ones do stack.
These other ones, are they designed to be there at all times or only when you have a companion out? I can't remember.
It's at all times.
At all times, okay.
Wait, it stacks across all characters? I thought it only did it via faction. Or is it definitely across all characters then?
All characters.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll if you're leveling up to the max level, you'll get it pretty early on. So you just have to make sure to get all those companion stories done. All right. Turg also writes, wow, Turg has been busy this week. Turg writes, for a much prettier and immersive leveling experience, turn off nameplates and turn on controls, combat, show next target, and cycle. Next target and cycle will highlight the closest enemy in your path or view so that you know where enemies are, but without an ugly nameplates out in the distance. Very nice. I'm going to have to try that. And let's see, Turg also writes, should I be worried that a character that was definitely on the guild ship was on the McKeb orbital station when I logged in? And Bill answered, ending up on McKeb happens to me at least once a week.
I haven't seen any trigger for this. It just seems to happen sometimes.
Okay.
You just end up in an odd spot.
Hasn't happened to me, but I haven't been on the guild ship a lot. I've only visited there just to check it out, but I don't use it on a regular basis. So it doesn't happen to me randomly other places. I guess it only happens from the guild ship when you exit there?
No, I've been in my stronghold and ended up in a really strange spot. So.
Okay. So strongholds too, huh? Okay. Volk wrote in, some similar errors may happen when you try to update the game with SWTOR Unleashed still working. With SWTOR Unleashed still working. In other words, the files are on the RAM drive. Even when my game is on SSD, just remember to unload the RAM drive when there's an update.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the help. Actually, what I ended up doing is I just uninstalled SWTOR Unleashed. I am not using it anymore because I didn't want to have to remember to, or to figure out how to undo the RAM drive, redo the RAM drive, all that stuff. As it turns out, when it came to streaming and getting the frame rate up, the one thing that worked best on my computer was simply turning the shadows to blobs. Once I did that, it was all golden. It literally is such a hog on the system that it changed my frame rate. I can stream with it at about 55 with the shadows on blobs, and then it drops down to 20 to 25 if I have the shadows up. So it's a real hog. So
I should mention, Chill, I did run into something similar this week where I had to tweak some of my shadow settings a little bit. And that was very recent. I hadn't been running in that problem. So it does look like some of these patches that they've been putting in have changed the graphic rendering in one way or another. And it might be leading into
Possibly.
3.0. We know all of these new flashpoints and stuff are being so much more beautifully rendered, and it might be more graphically demanding.
Possibly, yeah. All right. At Darksplat writes in, do you find SWTOR players know who is doing the voiceover of the new Shadow of Revelin trailer?
As far as I'm aware, it's Steve Blum who does quite a few of the characters in the game. It sounds like him for sure. He's the guy who's done too many video game voiceovers. I think it's Steve Blum, but don't quote me on that.
Is it different than the flashpoints? Are they saying that there's a new voice?
You know that in the Shadow of Revan trailer, there's that voice guy who's like, "War is coming," and then that voiceover guy.
I just assumed it was a standard voiceover guy. Didn't really pay much attention.
Yeah, it sounds like Steve Blum to me.
Because it could be. I guess we should find out who We should find out who the guy who's been Revan to date. If that's different than this trailer, is that a telltale remark that this isn't actually Revan, or did that guy pass away? Which would be terrible, but I'd like to know.
Oh, I see what I mean. I
Or
mean
they're
the
just
character,
using
not
a
the
narrator.
not the actor. Okay, the character. Okay, my
Well,
bad.
the actor for the character, yeah.
Well,
That's what he
the
means.
actor's Steve Blumberg. Yeah,
A
I don't know who the
voiceover
actor
for
is.
the new Shadow of Revan trailer.
So is it going to be a character? I don't know.
That's not a. That doesn't mean a character's
Oh,
voice.
doing the voiceover. Who's okay?
Yeah, but could it be a character doing a voiceover, like a dialogue speech, but it's just been put in the trailer?
Possibly.
Tio is absolutely right. The whole point is, what's this voiceover? We don't need to go down the rabbit hole.
And it's what Charlie already answered.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Tarko of the Gone Sithing Guild. Just thought I would weigh in on the Stormtrooper discussion in your last episode. Although most of the clones were gone and Stormtroopers were actual recruits, Vader's 501st Vader's Fist remained a clone trooper battalion. Keep up the good work on the show. I enjoy tuning in every week.
That would be Legends. The only one that did persist was Boba Fett, because he was an undoctored clone grown at normal speed.
There you go.
Very nice. And Nathaniel Starr wrote in the rumor of what better than cross-server means. So the forums and people in game are pretty sure they figured out what is supposedly going to help PvP and operation queues. They're pretty sure that BioWare's solution will be to make free-to-play and preferred players able to queue for PvP and Group Finder anytime. So while this will help the tiniest bit, I think it's a far cry from better than cross-server. Do you think this is the solution they're talking about, and do you think it would help? How much do you think it would actually help? If that's the solution, I think tiniest bit is not correct. I think it would be a huge help, because we know that subscribers are although they're heavy players and they represent a lot of time in game, percentage-wise, we're a pretty small percentage of the overall number of gamers. So I believe it would make a massive difference, but I could be wrong.
I've never heard this before. He was a bit surprised by that. Maybe I don't frequent the forums. I hadn't heard this in game from anyone, so maybe they're right, but we've had no evidence to support this either way. It's just another idea.
Yeah, and it's actually one that we've, professed.
Mhm.
I've asked for it, especially for PvP, for ranked.
Yeah.
That's all I've asked for since they said they weren't doing cross-server. It
Right.
would still not enable the best of the best to play against the best of the best unless they also did a tournament server at the end of the season, which would be cool. But it would be phenomenal if they opened it up. But I haven't seen any indication from any of their remarks that that's where they're going either.
Right. All right, and Charlie, did you want to
Skip.
read the next one?
Let's just skip it because he's already
Yeah.
talked about it.
Okay, cool. Chong wrote in, SWTOR got back to me about what I thought was a bug on Blizz the Companion. Let's see, I've reviewed your question as to why Blizz the Jawa is proficient at armor mech, and I can inform you that Jawas are actually good at any sort of technology, not just slicing and scavenging, but also armor making, repairs, weaponsmithing, and much more. Blizz is considered a genius when it comes to crafting, even amongst his fellow Jawas, so I would not go as far as to say it would be out of character for him to make weapons and armor instead of general salvage.
So yeah, Chong was to some extent trolling BioWare, I guess, by
gave
making
us all
an
an
actual bug report, but it was kind of cool that they gave him this response.
That is
And
cool.
in classic BioWare style, they had a spelling error.
Slicing.
Slicing instead of slicing. But no, that's great. Dude, I'm telling you, the in-game customer service is just great in this game. They're very good.
Agreed. Yeah.
Even if you call them up, I called them up about a couple of years ago, and they were great. They were really great.
Yeah, I remember when a week ago or so, a couple weeks ago, I guess, when I was leveling the Merc and I had Blizz, and it was like, he doesn't get a scavenging bonus, and I was kind of disappointed because I had scavenging on that character. So, but yeah, so it's. I mean, I kind of figured this. That's kind of what I had figured in the back of my head. It's like, okay, well, they decided not to make him a scavenger, but they gave him armor mech and arms deck, so clearly they made him more of a tinkerer than just a general scavenging guy. So, all right, nice to have sort of semi-official confirmation though. Chong also wrote, "Boss Chong out on Harbinger Patrol," and "Freeze, bitch." Sir, it's just a bug.
He's pointing his gun downwards, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. Seems to be right.
Normally, you wouldn't be aiming your weapon in that direction towards the floor. So.
But you're aiming at a bug.
Yeah, exactly.
On the floor.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's from a cutscene or.
Oh yeah, there's the thought. How do you get that? That's the thought.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Looks like a cutscene angle. Alright, and he also writes, "When Boss Chong gets wounded, he cauterizes it with a flamethrower. He is the boss."
And using his the bounty hunter regen ability, looks like he's using his flamethrower on his wrist. Yep.
And he gotta stay away if I have a cut.
Yeah. His bedside manner is atrocious. All right. That sounds like a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Nights... Oh, wait, sorry. Before I do that, Red, were there questions from the chat room?
Adigalia was wondering, Charlie, are you the great white panda?
Whoa, no. I know it's the eyes. The eyes really do. Don't do me justice. I don't know what my eyes are, but I've had them for so long. But yeah, it'd be, great white panda. That'd be cool. Cute question. Thank you.
And that was it.
It was so worth it, though.
Yes, that's a show. So if you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our
Utini Rage
Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then ask for the quiz that lets us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. We're on @OotiniCast. I Twitter under my own name, @Brandon L. Starr, and Tio uses his name, @Jason Etheridge. Red Twitter's under at R3DN4, or you can watch him on twitch.tv/R3DN4. And Charlie Twitter's under @Kranitoko, KRANITOKO, or you can subscribe at youtube.com/Kranitoko Games. Check out our website, OotiniCast.com, which has links to our presence on Google Plus and Facebook. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, and we're also on Stitcher, Spreaker, and Zune. We record the show live every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is from Mevio's Music Alley. Check it out at music.mevio.com. That's MEVIO. And thank you to the chat room, and thank you, Charlie and Red.
Had a great time again. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Can't wait for Utini Cantina.
Indeed.
Absolutely. And we'll see you next week.
Alright, stay recording, guys. Chat room, thank you for coming. Oh, jeez. Bloody summer. It's getting hot in here, so...
Oh, you're overheating.
Oh, boy.
Damn this.
The
damn
chill is
climate change.
coming over here.
Yeah, at least it'll be cool when I'm in the US. Alright, we'll
That's
see you
true.
next Tuesday, and for everyone else, it will be an hour later. Alright, stopping the recording.